4:57. So
Oh,
if we
well,
have another
keep going then.
another 4 minutes or so, that would be great.
All right.
All right, just a couple of times the first one and last.
Okay, all right.
Good evening. Let us join in song together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and to turn to number 237 in your gray hymnal, and let us sing together the first hymn of this evening, the first carol of this evening, the first Noel.
Thank
Welcome. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian, Universalist, and thank you for joining us here on Christmas Eve. Welcome to those who are members of this congregation, and welcome to everyone who is visiting us this evening. Welcome to those returning home for the holiday season. Welcome to family members who may be in town at this time. And welcome to anyone who may be visiting us, searching for a bit of a guiding light in this time of challenge and uncertainty. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. And I invite you to return after tonight. We are, as a congregation, an active, thriving, worshiping, music-making, learning, spiritual practicing, multi-generational, community-serving, justice-making, fun-having community. I do have a couple of announcements, which are, first of all, next Sunday, December 29th, we will have just one single service at 11 a.m. So not at 9:30, not at 11:15, at 11 a.m. What time? 11. All right. Tell your friends. And second of all, as people come in, this is very much a Unitarian Universalist congregation where every seat is taken except for the first two rows. So as people come in, encourage them not to be shy and come to the front. Let us sing again. I invite us to rise in body and spirit once more as we sing our second carol of the evening, 231, Angels We Have Heard on High.
For the last 4 Sundays, we have lighted candles on the Advent wreath to mark the approach of Christmas. We have lighted these candles to remind us to invite hope, peace, love, and joy into our lives during this time of waiting. This evening, we light these 4 candles again, and also the center candle. For our determination that these values may continue to be lived out in our lives, even after this season has passed.
One more thing, so. So this is a meditation for people of all ages. I want to invite you into a time of imagining. I invite you, if you wish, to close your eyes if that helps you to be able to imagine. And as you imagine, I want you to imagine the senses of this season. Let us begin by imagining the sounds of this season. The sound of singing, hymns and songs. The sounds of musicians in church. The sounds of bells ringing. The sounds of tinsel crinkling. I invite you to imagine the sights of this season, the colors. Imagine the red and the green, the silver and the gold, the blue. Imagine the dark skies and the brown grass. I invite you to imagine the smells of this season. Imagine the kitchen smells from tomorrow, the smells of cinnamon, the smells of food, the smells of pine needles and evergreen. And if you will, help me imagine the tastes of this season. The tastes of sugar cookies, of cinnamon, of vanilla, of chocolate, of all the wonderful tastes of this time. And finally, I invite you to imagine the feel of this season. The feel of the crinkle of wrapping paper, the feel of sweaters and mittens and hats, and especially the feeling of warmth. The warmth of a hug, the warmth of a hand holding your own. As we imagine all of the senses of this season, we connect with those feelings of love and hope and waiting. Let us give thanks for all of the joy and the wonder this season brings.
We are a caring community. As a community, we take care of one another. We bring meals when one of us is ill. We give rides when one of us is recovering from surgery. We loan out quilts when one of us is grieving. And we send cards to recognize times of difficulty and times of joy. Another way that we are a caring community is by offering financial assistance when one of us is experiencing urgent need. This evening's Share the Plate is for the Minister's Discretionary Fund. The Minister's Discretionary Fund is able to provide financial assistance to those in our congregation. This fund is administered by Reverend Thom. It has funded emergency car and home repairs. It has helped our members with utilities, prescription drugs, and clothes for going back to school. If you are experiencing an urgent financial need, the church may be able to help. And it is able to help because of the generosity shared at the Christmas Eve worship service. I urge you and invite you to give generously to this evening's offering. You may place your donation in the baskets as they are passed, or you may make a donation by using the QR code on the back of the order of service. An offering for the Minister's Discretionary Fund will now be generously given and gratefully received.
Good evening. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by choir, folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know Santa's on his way. He's got all kinds of toys and goodies in his sleigh. And every mother's child he's gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you.
In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered, and Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no place in the guest room.
Now, in that same region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and then the glory of God, Lord, showed around them, and then they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger."
And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom God favors."
When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. And Mary treasured all those words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told to them.
If you've been attending church here in December for many, many years, you may have noticed that I really only have 2 Christmas sermons. I disguise them with variations. And I've actually said this, it's not a secret. I've said, I really only have 2 Christmas sermons. And so one of them I gave back on December 8th, and so I'm going to give the other one tonight. Back on December 8th, I gave my other Christmas sermon. I'm going to tell you what it was so that you don't feel left out or you don't miss anything. The title of that sermon was Jesus Against Empire, and I talked about how all the stories of Jesus' life from his birth, from even before his birth, all the way up through his life to his death, and even after his death, happen under the crush of empire, occupation, injustice, and violence. And how his life and the way he lived it was a challenge to that powerful empire. Mary's first prayer upon learning that she is pregnant is a prayer that the powerful be cast down from their thrones. The story of Jesus' birth happens as Mary and Joseph are forced to travel to Bethlehem because the emperor, Caesar Augustus, has ordered that all the world should be registered and taxed. Jesus' childhood, his formative years growing up are spent living as a refugee, an asylum seeker, an exile in Egypt because of the cruelty of King Herod. And Jesus' entire ministry, his teachings and miracles are performed among people who live under an empire's occupation. His disciples and followers are the empire's cast-offs, the forgotten people, and those desperately trying to figure out how to live and how to resist. And of course, Jesus' death also comes at the hands of empire. And if we would take Jesus' conception and birth and life and death and afterlife seriously, we would critique and resist and stand against those forces of empire in our own day. That's my first Christmas sermon. But it's not the one I'm giving tonight. My second Christmas sermon has to do with mystery and wonder and how we might cultivate a greater sense of mystery and wonder and re-enchantment in our lives, and how we might invite in that mystery and wonder in order to push out some of the cynicism and despair and hopelessness from our lives. This is the message, by the way, that lies at the heart of so many of the great stories of the Christmas season. How many people know Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol? Right? A lot of hands there. What it's really about, it's about the soul's journey from greed to generosity, from indifference to compassion, from cynicism to openness. How many people know the story of Dr. Seuss's The Grinch That Stole Christmas? Even more hands. What's that story about, right? It's about the soul's journey from negativity and contempt to love for our shared humanity, or in the case of the Grinch, our shared humanity. Yeah, thanks for groaning. That's one you can groan for. Not humanity, humanity. I made that one up, so. And I wonder how many of you, this is a lesser known story, but how many people this December went to Playmakers to see the new play that opened, The Christmas Case of Hezekiah? A few hands, all right. It was the world premiere of playwright Mike Wiley's The Christmas Case of Hezekiah Jones. I saw a few people there when I went to go see it, and the play tells the story of a struggling and grieving toy maker with a toy shop on Franklin Street, right here in Chapel Hill, who decides that the world is hopeless and nobody wants good toys anymore, and decides to give up cynically until one of Santa's elves is tasked with re-inspiring his sense of Christmas magic. You might be able to think of some of your favorite Christmas stories that follow a similar theme. It is so easy to be cynical. It is so easy to be a detached critic at a distance. This is so tempting. We can even direct that cynicism at ourselves. We can even direct it at church. Why do we make such a big deal out of Christmas? We have plenty of doubts about the story. We come together to sing Christmas hymns, even though we may have some qualms with some of the lyrics. Even the lyrics that have been changed to make them more Unitarian, Universalist friendly. It's so easy to be cynical, to feel despair and defeat and hopelessness. This is so tempting. The world invites us to this, especially when injustice and corruption and violence and ignorance are prevalent. Cynicism and hopelessness and criticism at a distance are tempting because they seem to offer us protection. Protection from heartbreak, protection from disappointment. If we expect the worst from other people or from the world, we'll never be disappointed. If we give up, we can never fail. But what they offer is only defensive self-righteousness. What they can't offer us is life. Bah humbug offers us nothing to our soul. Our grinchiness does not lead to any happiness or joy. So in the story of Jesus that we tell, the Jesus that speaks to me is the Jesus who got real, got close, got in contact with other people in all of their difficulty and all of their challenge, who fed the 5,000 and broke bread with the downtrodden, who tended caringly to the sick and cried with the grieving and embraced the outcast. There is a closeness and an immediacy and a connection that we find in Jesus' ministry. He is no detached critic, no sideline shouter, not crossing his hands over his chest and saying, "Yep, could have expected that." And the message of this holiday is, if there is hope and meaning and possibility, even in the most unlikely of places, then perhaps for us, that story might speak to us again. The world is great, the world is glorious, and this wondrous night tells only one part of its story. And the story is not over. And so if a humble newborn child born into a world of violence, born into a world without freedom, born a Palestinian Jew in an occupied land, if life, meaningful life, loving life, caring life, life-giving life, liberating life, can spring forth from such dry sand, such fallow earth, then our own lives might rise with hope, with tenderness, with connection, and with love. Let us sing of that little town as we sing our third carol of the evening, number 246, O Little Town of Bethlehem.
It's the deepest part of the night now. Many mothers give birth this night. In Mexico, in New York City, in Kuala Lumpur, in Xinjiang, China, in Tallinn, Estonia. Some are poor, some well-to-do. Some call this time Christmas, some do not. The midnight in Punta Arenas, Chile is scented with summer roses, and groups of friends in Hobart, Tasmania gather for mint tea on the patio, commenting on the beauty of Christmas sunsets. Some will never be mothers or fathers. Some will. Close to Irkutsk in Siberia, the dark ice of Lake Baikal cracks, while on the outskirts of Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, children who have never heard of either Jesus or candles dream of riding horses over the hills. Over Montevideo, the Southern Cross rises bright among the constellations as midnight yields its ancient Spanish carols. Over Montreal, Orion hovers, its belt a comforting sash across the icy cold sky. A new mother sees the stars from her hospital bed and smiles. The world is great. The world is glorious. And this wondrous night tells only one small part of this story. Yet I say even this part of the story is great. And each word in the story is great. And the breath of silence between each word, and the silence found at both the beginning and the end of this story, is an emblem of a greatness and glory yet to be discovered.
So at this point, I want to invite you to take out your candles. And so what they're going to do is Jen and Sienna are going to walk down and invite the people in the rows, on the outside of the rows, to light a candle. And I might get a couple more people. And so I'm going to ask maybe Tobin, Davis, do you want to do this? Do you want to come help out with this? Grab a handle and start down. Eric, you're welcome to join too, and start coming down. Aaron, and so coming down the sides. And as the candles get lit, we'll move around and turn off some of the lights. I might ask somebody who has got good climbing feet to hit the lights up in the balcony for us. And once all the lights are down and once all the lights are down, we will join in singing Silent Night together.
Our fourth carol of the evening is number 251 in your gray hymnal, Silent Night, Holy Night. Please stay seated.
I invite us to take just a moment to look around at the beauty and the light in this room. It is so good to be here with you. It is so good to be together. The words of benediction are these by Howard Thurman. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, then it is that the work of Christmas begins. The work of finding the lost and healing the broken, of feeding the hungry and releasing the prisoner, work of rebuilding the nations and bringing peace among our brothers and sisters and siblings, the work of making music in the heart. May we carry that music with us as we go. Go in love and go safely. Thank you. Amen.